What's going on, everybody? This is just a one-off episode. We are starting a series where we're going to do predictions. It's about 10 Sundays from now until the NFL season starts, and we're going to predict every division. We're going to predict the award winners. We're going to predict the Super Bowl, playoff seedings, all of that, right? So this is a bunch of things that we like to discuss and go over and talk about. We'll even do drafts. We'll do included fantasy drafts and also something called team drafts. And I'll explain that. We'll explain that in a later episode. But today we're going over the AFC North. The last 2 weeks we've been talking about the Baltimore Ravens. We've been talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously you have the Cincinnati Bengals in there. You have the Cleveland Browns in there. But want to hear from y'all. What is your prediction? And you're going to say every seed. You're going to say this is going to be the winner of the division. This is who's going to be in last place. This is who's coming in second and third, right? What is your seeding for the playoffs? So, Scoob, since this is the division that you will be looking at the most and being more in tune with than anybody in here, I'm going to let you start us off.
Are you saying which one I'm going to predict to go into the playoffs? To the AFC
No,
North?
just AFC North, just all four teams. What are you predicting from first to fourth?
Probably going to be first, going to be the Steelers. Second's going to be Ravens. Third's going to be the Bengals. Last going to be the Browns.
Okay. Give us a little, like, what's your reasoning behind all of that?
Steelers just the best in the West, or best in the East. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. That's a little bit. It's a little biased though. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm a real fan of Lamar Jackson for real. That's crazy because he's my op, but I don't know. I'm rooting for Lamar. And I think if we stay healthy though, we're gonna be the only ones to give him a good shot. So, and we know the team. We play a team every year, twice a year, so we know them in and out. So I said the Steelers gonna be on top. Bengals, I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on in their locker room and their coaching. I don't know. I just don't feel like they on point with it. So I think they're gonna fall down to 3. Cleveland's still trying to find themselves. I think the Steelers is ready. I think everybody's the same. We just updated the roster. So that's the reason why I put us on top.
Yeah. Johnny, I got you next. Where your head at?
Got it being real close between the three teams, the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals. I think they're all going to be right around that 10-win mark. I got the Ravens winning it with 10 wins. I think they're going to go 10-7, which is 2 less than they did last year. They went 12-5 last year. I think they are going to take a step back. Offensively, obviously you got Lamar. You got Derrick Henry. He's 31 years old. They acquired DeAndre Hopkins. He's 33. An interesting thing, too, is Keaton Mitchell's back in the mix. He got hurt a couple years ago. He tore his ACL. He was averaging over 8 yards a carry when he tore his ACL a couple years ago. So now he's fully healthy. I'm interested to see him in the mix now, take a load off Derrick Henry. So I don't think we're going to see the production we saw from Derrick Henry. I don't think we're going to see the production from Lamar that we've been seeing. But with that being said, offensively as a whole, they're stacked. They got 2 really good tight ends. They have one of the best O-lines in the league. But defensively, my big question for them is I don't think they have a bona fide pass rusher at the line. I don't think they can get after the quarterback. They have a great secondary. They have great linebackers. I just don't think they could get after the quarterback on a consistent basis, and I think it's going to hurt them. And then the kicker thing, too. Justin Tucker has been one of the best in the league, and now you got a new rookie coming in. I think they're going to lose some games off of field goals. I just think that's kind of what's going to happen to the Ravens. So they're going to take a step back. I got the Steelers finishing second at 9-8. Obviously, is this, Aaron Rodgers last year? Probably. I like this Caleb Johnson kid at running back for the Steelers. I think he's going to be really good. Obviously, you got DK in the mix at receiver, Pat Freiermuth at tight end. So you have some weapons. The young back, can Rodgers, instill some life into his career. And then I love their defense, man. The Steelers defense, I think, is going to be really good this year. Cam Hayward, Derek Harmon, who was their first-round pick, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. I think they're really good on defense. So they're going to be competitive. And if Aaron Rodgers can channel that vintage Aaron Rodgers, they'll definitely compete for that division title. So that'll be interesting. The Bengals, to me, are very disappointing because this is Joe Burrow's prime. I have them also finishing 9-8, which is what they did last year. Burrow's coming off to his best season of his career. They got T. Higgins back, Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki, so he's got 3 really, really solid weapons to throw to. I think I'm very underwhelmed with the running backs. Their offensive line is not very good. And then defensively, it's a shit show, man. I mean, what they're doing with Trey Hendrickson and their first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, I mean, what's going on there? They cut their captain, Jermaine Pratt, before the season started. Their secondary is not very good. They're just not surrounding Joe Burrow with enough to capitalize off his prime, which kind of reminds me of when Aaron Rodgers was at the peak of his game with the Packers, and they refused to draft receivers in the first round. You know, they weren't really going after big-time free agents. That window's so small, and I think they're missing it with Joe Burrow, and I think he has the capability to have an MVP season this year. I just don't think the Bengals are going to be very good, which is sad to say. And then the Browns, I don't have much to say about the Browns. You know, they got a lot of good young guys. They did draft my guy, Harold Fannin, who I got the pleasure to be around and coach on a team that he was on last year. You know, Quinshawn Judkins in the mix. He's going to be exciting to watch. Is Myles Garrett going to continue to be at the top of his game? You know, they drafted Mason Graham in the first round, D-tackle from Michigan. Carson Schwezinger from UCLA, and then Denzel Ward on defense. They're going to be a good defense. I just don't think the quarterback situation and, you know, it's the Browns. So, but I got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals all right there at that 10-win mark. I think it's going to be a really competitive division like the AFC North always is.
Johnny, I'm going to throw a wrench at you. And then, Scoob, I'll go back to you as well. Who's gonna have the most starts for the Browns as the QB?
It's going to be Joe Flacco. It's going to be Joe Flacco.
Okay.
I'll say this, too. You can clip this. Shedeur Sanders isn't even going to make the team.
Oh, we'll clip it. All right.
Yeah. And here's why.
Right.
You got Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. That's 4 quarterbacks. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's not playing this year. Most teams really only carry 2 on the active roster when the season goes. Who's those 2 going to be? Joe Flacco. And, I mean, they're not going to cut Dylan Gabriel, right? They might cut Kenny Pickett, but Shedeur, to me, you know, nice flashy acquisition, but I knew where you were going with that question.
How about you? Who you got?
Flacco's going to start about 3 of them. They're going to try Kenny. Kenny's going to be Kenny's going to be Kenny. They're going to see like, oh damn, that's not Kenny without Mike. And then they're going to give Shedeur his chance. I think Shadeur's going to be starting by week 8, week 9. Right after that bye week or before that bye week.
Kind of jump ahead of the gun with Miles and Aaron, but I kind of have a feeling that we have a consistent number 4 in this division, but I'm not going to rain that parade. But just in case that is the case, I just want to hear what's y'all prediction for the most QBs as well when you are doing your divisions. Are the most QB starts this season for the Browns when you are doing your picks for the rankings of the standings in this division? So, Miles, I'll let you go next.
When we're looking at the Browns roster, I think Joe Flacco, of course, the veteran on the team, will end up getting the starting spot, of course, as he should. But ultimately, they're not going to win games. They drafted 2 young quarterbacks. They got a third one in Kenny Pickett, who they picked up in the offseason. I think you drafted these guys to play them, right? You didn't just draft them just to get rid of them. You know what I mean? So I think definitely we're going to see a little bit of Dylan Gabriel, but ultimately it's going to be Shedeur's team. I think that's exactly why he's there, to sell seats, sell tickets. I mean, with that last name Sanders, man, that name brings a lot of weight with it. So why not just put him out there on the field and see what he could do? But looking at the AFC North as a whole, obviously Baltimore Ravens going to be the number 1 team coming out of that division. I got the Bengals coming in second, Steelers third, of course, the Doo-Doo Browns coming in at 4. Reason I got Baltimore at 1, just to do a quick overview. I mean, they have the best quarterback in that division. Everyone knows that you have a quarterback, you win games, simple and plain. Lamar Jackson coming off another MVP season. I think that coaching staff, that team has something special. They didn't really make a lot of changes to affect that offense too much to shake it up. Honestly, it was a few minor tweaks, and that team probably would have been in the Super Bowl last year. So they have chemistry. They have a quarterback, so therefore they're number 1. Number 2, Bengals, another great quarterback in Joe Burrow. I mean, you got Jamar T., Mike Gesicki. That's a great tandem they have there. And I honestly think, even though they have a tough schedule, which they're kind of ranked in the middle right now, I think they still are a competent team who could get a few wins and string a few wins together. Steelers, of course, with Aaron Rodgers coming in, it's everything's brand new. They don't have any chemistry yet, so I can't really rank them too high. So we'll just have to see about that. And then the Browns, I mean, they're trying to find their identity, so that's why I got them at 4.
So how about the jackpot, the wild card question for you?
Talk to me.
With who's going to make the most starts?
For the Browns? Are we talking about the Browns?
For the Browns, yeah. Just the
I
Browns.
was ducking the question? Oh, ducking it. Okay. Damn. I'm going to say Shedeur. I'm going to give Shedeur the nod.
What week do you have them starting?
I haven't looked at their schedule, but I'm going to say probably like I'll give them like week like 9 or 10. Week 9 or 10 for sure. Late. It's going to be later in the season for sure. It's not going to be off the jump.
Aaron, you're up.
Yes, sir. So like everybody else, pretty much got the same order. I got the Ravens finishing 12-5, Steelers coming in second. I actually got them at 11-6. I would have had them first had they not fucked up everything in terms of trading George Pickens. And I'll get to that. But Bengals, I got at 9-8. Browns at 6-11. With the Ravens, I just think they have the better overall team out of the whole division, just offense, defense. I know special teams is lacking. They're missing Hall of Fame kicker, what's his name, Justin Tucker. I think the overall makeup of the team on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball picks up for that. Obviously, we talked about it first episode. They added Jair Alexander. They also added Chidobe I can't say his last name, Uzier, and then the rookie Malachi Starks from Georgia. I think that just redefines their secondary when you already have Marlon Humphrey, and then you also have Kyle Hamilton playing that like star safety position. So the defense is going to be really good. We know they got Roquan Smith. The D-line maybe have some questions, but just the overall makeup of that team, they bring back Ronnie Staley on the offensive line. They paid Derrick Henry. So I think the vibes, which is very important as we've seen with the Niners, when you pay players early, going into training camp, it's very high. With the Steelers, I would have had them first, but I really think trading George Pickens was dumb. If you paired George Pickens with DK, then we're talking. You know what I'm saying? You got the quarterback to finally at least get them the ball, especially George Pickens, which has been his problem his first 3.5 years with y'all. I mean, I gave him Kenny Pickett, and I couldn't even tell you who the other quarterbacks was, but y'all really didn't give any quarterbacks to give him the ball, and I could see why he was frustrated. So now he gets a perfect position to line up with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. We're going to see him take off this year. And then going on the other side of the ball, I feel like if you're able to keep Minka and then add Ramsey to the picture, because I think the Miami Dolphins probably would have been willing to get off of him without the player if you just probably gave up more picks. I think that just stacks your defense up. So it just felt like 2 steps forward, 4 steps back for the Steelers this offseason. But saying that, I still got them at 11-6 in the division, which ain't bad. Get to the playoffs. Can you win in the playoffs? That's a different thing. With the Bengals, I got them at 9-8. For the complete opposite reason of the Ravens, I think the vibes are fucked up in terms of you're not treating your rookie like shit and you're treating your star sack getter like shit. That does not bode well in terms of just confidence going into the season. I know they signed their trio to big money, which is great. Offense was never a problem in Cincinnati. It was always defense. I think Johnny mentioned Pratt goes over to Las Vegas, and your replacement is possibly Oren Burks, maybe. And I'm not a big fan of Oren Burks because he sucked with the Niners. He kind of redeemed himself with Philly last year, but I don't think he's really a 17-game starter at the linebacker position. Obviously, with the D-line, you got Hendrickson that's not in camp.
Thank you. My bad.
And then you have his replacement that's also not in camp. And for a rookie, they need training camp. They got to get the feel of the NFL level. And if you think he's just about to come in week 1 or a couple weeks before the season and get ready, that's just not going to happen. So very interested to see what that situation looks like for the Bengals. I know they did add Devin Bush, Malik Collins from the Niners, and Jerome Baker. So we'll see if those additions can fill the void at that linebacker spot. They still got Logan Wilson, who was a key contributor to their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago. So we'll see how the other pieces fit into that. The Browns, as everybody said, are the Browns. At the end of the day, I got them at 6-11. I do think they have a really nice team. The quarterback situation, Joe's going to start off ripped, but Joe is on a decline. I know he had a little spark a couple of years ago towards the end of the season with the Browns. That's probably why they chose to bring him back, but I don't think it's going to do much for them. He might be out of there by like week 5, honestly. Maybe I'll say week 6. Give him 6 games to shit the bed. But I don't think Kenny Pickett is going to be on that roster. Never thought he was a good quarterback. And I know camp numbers is camp numbers. They don't really matter, but he had the worst numbers out of all of them. And he's going against their defense, their starting defense. I've never seen what anyone's seen in Kenny Pickett, especially the Steelers. I'm glad y'all finally got rid of him to replace him with A-Rod, but bro, Kenny's just not good, bro. I'm sorry.
You'd rather have Kenny than Dylan?
Huh?
I mean, you'd rather have Dylan than Kenny? You'd rather have Dylan Gabbard than Kenny Pickett?
Yeah. What has Kenny done to show me that I can rely on him? Like he had
Kenny got NFL wins.
Super Bowl champion, by the way.
Yeah, as a backup, taking a couple knees, but like The best part of Kenny Pickett's career was the undefeated preseason the dude had last season or the season before then, and they came week 1 and looked terrible and got crushed. So I'm cool off Kenny Pickett. I'm cool off Dylan Gabriel. I think he'll get in before Shador, but I never thought he was all that in college, so I don't think he'll be all that in the league. They might. I don't think
He's
they'll
15
last
and
it.
10, by the way.
Oh,
Mm.
Kenny?
Yeah, it's 15 and 10 with a
See,
62
QB,
completion rate
I don't really
and
go off
4,000
QB
passing
wins.
yards.
In what, 3 years?
Yeah,
That
as
4,000
a
passing
backup.
yards?
Yeah, as a backup too.
He just now became a backup. We talking about 4,000 yards in 3.
He
Brock
lost his
Purdy
spot to
did
make.
that.
He lost his spot too to Mason. So I'm just
Exactly.
saying.
Exactly. Thanks for making my point, bro. He lost his spot to Mason Rudolph.
And now it doesn't
where's
mean that
Ma-
he was a bad quarterback. It just wasn't working out.
That's exactly
And he
what
was
it
calling
means.
off. He was calling on plays. Like Matt
Yeah,
Canada called a play, and he'd
exactly.
call it off, and he'd end up making the right decision. So he
Who
won
is
the game
what?
because of doing that.
Wait. Let me ask you this, Scoop. Let me ask you this. The Browns, they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks out of those 4. Flacco, Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shador. Who's getting cut?
Dylan Gabriel getting cut. Practice squad. Bro,
Kenny's out of
yes.
there, bro. Kenny is out of there.
I mean, I believe it. I believe it because the Browns, but they shouldn't be. It should be Dylan. Dylan should be practice squad.
I think you keep the 2 rookies. I think Dylan gets his shot. I don't think he makes much of it.
This man is 15 and 10 in the NFL. Dylan hasn't played a snap.
Hey, since you're looking up stats, look up the scores in those 15 wins. I guarantee it's probably like 9-6 or some shit like that, or 12-7, bro. Like the defense has carried y'all so many times. But anyways, let me finish this Browns point. I think Shador finishes the season. I think in something like maybe like the last, I would say they give him like the last 4 or 5 games just to ride it out, because I think the first 2 quarterbacks are just bad. Somehow they muster 6 wins. I got to look at the schedule. They got a really tough start to this schedule, which is fucked up for a last place team. But that's just my overall assessment of the AFC North.
Yes, my list is very similar to everybody else's. Just a little bit of tweak. My list actually mirrors Miles' list, and this is why I'll go bottom up. So, Browns, you got the Browns. I actually don't think the Browns will do as bad as people think. Their defense, once again, their defense always been a thing where they will shine, right? Myles Garrett, just him getting paid early, him being able to get his money. You know, he made a bunch of threats of like I want to trade or things like that, right? We've all seen it. But for them to make a deal with him, congratulations, go get your money. Now he could focus most of his offseason on making the Browns better, right? They got Mason Graham, like y'all said earlier. I like Jeremiah JOK coming out of Notre Dame. He played pretty well for them. That back 7 plays pretty well. So with the defense, they're going to be able to be in games, right? If they can control that run game and do well, now obviously they're moved on from Nick Chubb, but if they can move a machine like they had with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're going to be winning a lot of, let me not say a lot of games, but they're going to be in a lot of games. So I don't want to just write them off just yet, but you know, who's going to be taking care of the ball? If it's somebody like Joe Flacco, he has games where he's reckless with it, but he's also have games where he just take care of the ball, do his job, and let's just get out of here with the win, right? Sometimes it don't matter who's on the other side. He outperforms them. And that's what you need. The question about Joe Flacco is, how much juice does he have left, right? We kind of ridden him off a couple of years ago. Then he come back, and he came back with the Colts. And it's like, dang, like kind of come back and start winning some games. Came back with the Browns, start winning some games. So I was like, okay, like what Joe Flacco are we going to get? To answer the question, man, I think it's tough. I think it will be Joe Flacco that gets the most starts. And as they, like around week 11 and 12, as they are starting to get out of contention, they're going to give it to one of the young guys, right? I don't know which young guy. I'm going to predict Shador, but that's how I think the season's going to go. They're going to want to compete, and they're going to be in a lot of games. They may even have a lot of single-digit loss that they could be close to winning, but that's my feeling about the Browns. It doesn't make it any easier that they're in this division, which is probably the second toughest division. It's up there. It's top 3 for sure. So that's number 4 for me. Number 3, I'm going Steelers. I just don't know, right? And you can never count the Steelers out they're going to win games. There's no question about it. I think it's a different component of why I'm bringing the Bengals in there. If, like Aaron said, if they would have kept George Pickens, now we're talking about 1 or 2, right? But they didn't. It may be a good thing for them because George Pickens, he kind of just do what he wants, and he's going to give you an earful for it. He's a baller for sure, but he's just one of those guys where you can see on the field when you're going to see his frustrations. He's wear his heart on his sleeve. So sometimes that helps, sometimes that hurt. They feel like he was more of they feel like he was expendable, so that's why they got rid of him. Other things about the Steelers, obviously with the TJ Watt situation, I think he does eventually get paid. But how many games is he going to miss? If he missed during the start of the season, he usually is a guy that's banged up. But once again, Arthur Smith, you get a run game going, it's going to be hard to stop the Steelers from a standpoint now that they have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was underwhelming last year, but he didn't do terrible, right? We're so used to the Aaron Rodgers of the Packers where it's like air raid, we're seeing this, we're seeing that, we're seeing flashy stuff. You could just see with the Jets, like it was just something that was off. I don't know if it was because of Aaron Rodgers or if because the whole offensive dynamic that they was just like, man, it was just underwhelming. Like I said, you thought the Jets was going to compete in the AFC East, and they were a dud from the start. So I'm not saying, once again, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be okay. And I think he's going to be the make or break, whether the Steelers are going to be first or they're going to be even possibly fourth. But if we can get the old Aaron Rodgers back, man, this team is going to do great things. But I, as of right now, is not banking on it. I don't like the fact that you have DK as your only. He's not the only threat. They got Freiermuth, they got Calvin Austin, but he's the only guy that, like, if you look at that team, like, I know he's going to show up. And
He's
DK
the only
is
threat. The only threat.
okay. I
Johnny
guess he's
Smith.
the only threat.
Don't
Oh,
sleep
I
on
mean,
Johnny.
yeah. I like Jonnu too. I just don't know if it's too late in the summer to like build that kind of rapport that even Aaron Rodgers came in late as hell, right? And for some certain players, man, it could work out. I think with the quarterback, man, you need them there like from the start of OTAs, minicamp, and everything. So with that being said, I'm banking on the Steelers being third. Now, between the Bengals and the Ravens, I still got the Ravens number 1. Why? Because the roster's top down. Johnny said it on the episode the other day. If you look at the Ravens roster top down, they're not second to anybody, to be honest. Like, they could cover every area, even the areas that they could lack in. Another team will love to have that position group, right? So they could run the ball, they could pass the ball, they could defend, right? They're usually good on special teams. We're going to see what this new kicker is talking about. But I will say this, they have to do it this year. Because now, after this year, you're gonna have to pay guys. Zay Flowers, right? He's going to approach the last year of his contract, but if we notice anything, guys love to ask for a contract extension during that time period, right? Before that time comes up. You got Isaiah Likely, he got an expiring contract coming out. And if he continues to trend of what he's shown last year, he's going to get paid a lot of money, maybe even top 5 tight ends in the league type money, just because that's just how the market is going to be. He's going to be fresh, but it just depends on how he plays this season. And if he's balling out, I don't know if the Ravens going to be able to afford him. That may be another reason why they kept Mark Andrews and not cut him, because they know likely is he could be a rental moving forward. Kyle Hamilton, he's going to have to get paid. Like, you're going to have to make a lot of decisions where all of these guys need to get paid. You got Derrick Henry. Not saying Derrick Henry's going to be on a decline, but as a running back, every year matters, right? So you never know when that year snaps and it's like, this guy's on a decline, right? It happened with Ezekiel Elliott. It happened with Todd Gurley. It happened with Le'Veon Bell, LT. Like, all of these guys early on, like, they hit around 30. And I was like, man, like, as a 49er fan, like, is Christian McCaffrey, is he still going to be able to put on at least as close to a season that he did before, right? So you just got all those components that this year got to be the year, because even though the Bengals are going through their little riffraff right now, they're young. They got their main guys paid on the offensive side, right? So y'all better figure it out. So that's where I'm going to go with number 2. I'm going to go Bengals. Why? I think their offense is going to carry them to a lot of wins. I don't think they're going to win pretty. I don't think they're going to win a lot convincingly, but I think they're going to have offensive firepower that's going to be hard to stop. Now, what do they struggle with? They struggle with staying healthy. T. Higgins, you just got paid. Jamar Chase, you just got paid. Man, we need y'all to stay on the field. We need y'all to be healthy, right? We need you to be all in. Last year with Jamar, like you kind of sense how the season, Jamar had one of the best seasons, right? But you could kind of sense, like you said, the locker room organization standpoint, like Jamar's like, man, I'm trying to get paid. I ain't about to go out here and play. And he wasn't even to that point where guys usually get extended, right? So, man, Jamar, I know he's relieved, right? Because he already got paid. Joe Burrow's relieved because all of his targets are happy. Now it's the other side of the ball. They're going to have to figure a lot of shit out, right? I do think Trey Henderson, he eventually gets paid because if not, they would have got rid of him for some pieces. I don't think they're too worried about Shamar Stewart. It's like, you're a rookie. If you could help us now, perfect. If you can't, we have to move on, right? So I'm not really banking on their defense to give a lot or to really. Yeah, I don't see them winning games because of their defense. I see them winning games because they have a hell of an offense. Chase Brown, he broke out. I mean, rookie year, he already did phenomenal, right? He's going to have another year where he's getting better and developing. Mike Gesicki, like nobody really banked on him. When he was with the Dolphins, it's like, man, and he had a stint with the Patriots. So it's like he kind of rejuvenated and he got new life in Cincinnati. So my belief is going to be a Ravens first. They're just you should be number 1. I think they are Super Bowl favorites, so that's why I have them number 1. Number 2 is the Bengals. I think they're just going to have an offensive firepower. Number 3 is the ultimate wild card in the division. I think we can all agree, right? And then number 4, you just dealing with the Browns. And another thing, I do think Kenny Pickett will be traded or cut out of all the QBs, unless I just don't think. I think from a business move standpoint, you're going to keep Shador. Even if you don't think he's a top 3 quarterback in there, you're going to keep him for him this year. All of your marketing, all of your money and merchandise is going to come from Shador. Not all of it, but you get what I'm saying, right? So if they're not winning games, at least they could get money with Shador and marketing him, because I have never seen a 5th round pick get so much love on social media by their own team that is like, this is what we're banking on. So they're definitely keeping Shador in my mind just from a business standpoint. It doesn't matter if he's the best QB or not. I think they're getting rid of Kenny Pickett because you got 2 guys that you can lean on, and then you got Joe Flacco, who's been there and who's done that and who's shown proven things. I think he'll win it out. And then another reason why I think they're getting rid of Pickett, because if this doesn't work out, they about to be tanking for Arch Manning. So if Shador doesn't work out, if Dylan Gabriel doesn't work out, obviously they're not banking on Flacco in the future. Then they're going to try to tank for Arch. They're going to try to tank for these other young college QBs out here. So that's essentially my answers there. And then, yeah, it's going to be real interesting this year with the AFC.